1. Hey guys. So let me just explain the type of person I am before my story is considered bullshit. I would totally understand anyway if most, if not all, would think it was. I am an unbeliever of all that is paranormal, as I feel anything has scientific reasoning behind it. I did, however, used to be a hardcore Catholic up until the age of 19. I am now 27. Nowadays, anything that has to do with religion or paranormal I am extremely skeptical of because of my past. Anyway, I lived in my apartment for about 6 years now with my son and his father, and yes, we're not religious at all. However, the last few years I've seen things out of the corner of my eyes, like white shadows. I keep telling myself, oh, they're just shadows of flies or mosquitoes, people walking by, etc. So I always brush them off. 2 months ago, an event that keeps bothering me and honestly makes me tear up every time I think about it, made me come to this conclusion tonight, to make an account on Reddit because I know no one would believe me, especially my family. One night I decided to lay down on my couch in the living room and just look at articles on the phone, while the show Gypsy on Netflix played in the background. Mind you, a couple minutes prior, my son's father decided to go outside and smoke a cigarette, which he acknowledged and told me he was doing so, since sometimes he'd go to the liquor store at the corner of our street. So he just wanted to let me know he was only going to smoke. Well, 5 minutes later, and I can't even type this without tearing up, he comes back inside, looks at me as if I did something wrong as he walks to the bedroom. Note, to get to the bedroom in my apartment, you have to walk directly in front of the TV and across everything and everyone in the living room. The bedroom door is slightly to the left of me, and I see him through the door looking through his dresser like pushing through paperwork, trying to find something. Quickly pushing his dresser shut, and going into the bathroom and slamming it shut, and really hard. I yell, "Damn, hello, what happened?" And I'm pissed because our kid is asleep, and I was mad he'd wake up our kid from slamming the bathroom door shut so hard. I keep looking at the bathroom, waiting for him to come out so I can give him shit about slamming the door. And the front door of the apartment opens 10 minutes later. My son's dad comes walking in and I just couldn't breathe. I immediately looked over at the bathroom door and I can see from the corners of it that the light is on inside, but the door is completely shut. I ask my son's dad if he can open the bathroom door. He does. No one is inside. But he just goes to pee and sits down in the living room when he's done. I didn't tell him about this until a week after it happened. And I haven't told anyone about this other than him because, come on, we all know why. But like I said earlier, weird things have gone on in my apartment. And I should mention that random things have ended up in random places, like my cell phone on top of the stove, my oven turning on by itself, my bathroom door closing shut. I don't know if my apartment has become a vessel or something for interdimensional crossing, but I know that something is not right. I've had to drop my classes because I can't focus. I have the worst anxiety every day. And I always see a white shadow seemingly running across my living room, left and right. If anyone has experienced this, please don't hesitate to comment. I'm just left in awe of this, and I don't blame my son's father for not believing me, but I can't help but literally cry because of this event. Edit. Wow, guys. I just want to say thank you to everyone who gave me different viewpoints and concerns, etc. I would also like to take this opportunity to answer the FAQs since there are way too many comments to respond to. 1. Yes, I have a carbon monoxide detector and yes, it works. 2. I can see why people would think it's an early symptom of schizophrenia. And I've taken a fair amount of psychology courses, including abnormal psychology, and I don't feel that this is it. 3. Yes, I will still get a physical to rule out anything that can be messing with me neurologically. 4. I don't know why people find it odd or are confused that I call my son's father just that, because he is, and we are currently not together. 5. I would also like to address that just because we aren't together at the moment doesn't mean we have bad will towards each other. In fact, we are very much best friends and rarely disagree on much. And in my apartment you can see everything, so I'd know if he tried to sneakily mess with me. 6. No, we are not on drugs, we are not alcoholics, and we are not religious at all. 7. And finally, I take and have taken everything into consideration as to what logical reasons could explain this. I just wanted to share my story and read others' experiences. Thank you all for your time. If anything else happens, I'll let you all know. 2. I was about 8 to 10 years old. All the neighborhood kids were in the Pokemon mania, and everyone had a Game Boy with red, blue, and link cable. We were all trading, battling, and having fun. Also, I wrote my nickname on the back of my blue cartridge in case it gets lost or stolen, so I have proof it's mine, which will be very important for what happens next. One day, one of the kids asked me if I could do him a favor. He restarted his game in order to give me the starters, and then the next day I would give them back. It was late, so we needed to go home, so we didn't have much time. I was like, sure, and he proceeded to give me Charmander, Squirtle, and Bulbasaur. Of course, he restarted always. I went home after we finished, and I can remember that I took out my blue edition from my Game Boy Color and put it on my desk in my room, and haven't touched it since. The next day my blue edition was gone, just gone. I've searched my whole room, my jeans I wore yesterday, in boxes, in my jacket, trousers, every possible corner I could imagine where it could be. I asked my parents if they were in my room and touched my game. Both of them said no, and they were right. They came only in my room to say goodnight and didn't touch my stuff, which they never did. Of course, the kid was pissed at me and accused me as a liar, but I swore to him it was just gone and I couldn't find it. After a few days of searching for my game, and I still had the yellow edition, but I was still sad that I lost my favorite game. A few days later, my family and I were visiting my relatives in Serbia, 1,800 kilometers away from where I lived, 1,118 miles from our fellow US Redditors. At this time, I had the silver edition, and maybe crystal as well, can't remember, and forgot about my lost blue edition. One time we wanted to go somewhere with my relative and we proceeded to go in his car. The moment I entered his back seat, put the belt on, I saw something under the seat in front of me. A blue cartridge with a Blastoise on it, slightly damaged. It was like weird. In Serbia they don't sell Nintendo stuff and my cousins don't have Game Boys. As I took the cartridge to inspect, I turned around and was frozen in fear. Remember the nickname I told you before? I saw my shitty 8 or 9-year-old handwriting spelling my nickname on this cartridge. I've asked the relative who's driving the car if he knows about it, and he told me he had no idea that it was in his car. My father just ignored it. It was so surreal. My brain just blocked and I couldn't imagine how my cartridge would disappear for a few years and suddenly reappear 1,800 kilometers in the car of my relative away from my desk. The only logical explanation I had was that it was in my jeans all these years and fell out when I entered the car. But that didn't make any sense since I noticed the cartridge under the front seat as soon as I sat in my seat and put the belt on. Also, it was the very first time I went into this car. Normally my father drives us around Serbia in his car. To this day, this was really the only freaky experience I've had in my life. Of course, I've tried if the game works. Sadly, the chip is damaged, and the Game Boy couldn't read it. To this day, I still have the game, to always remind me that my childhood was awesome, and that there are some things we can never explain or find an answer for in this world. 3. So I'm not entirely sure what happened, but it was weird and very alien abduction-like. Maybe you guys could help shed some light on this, or just let me know what you think happened. I wanted to take a nap during the day. It was around 6 p.m. So I laid down, played a YouTube video for background noise, and passed out. Woke up again at around 7 p.m., checked my phone, set a new alarm for 7:30, restarted the YouTube video, and tried to fall back asleep. I will admit that weird shit always happens when I take naps, so I try to avoid them at all costs, but today, I was just so tired and couldn't take it. One specific weird thing that happens is I hear random loud noises in my ears that no one else can hear. This only happens when I'm really tired and about to sleep during the day. They almost always sound like someone starting to yell, but can only get the first syllable out like bah! Sometimes I hear something that sounds like a trumpet or cymbals clasping together, but they only last about a second each time. Another thing is the sounds in my room will suddenly get really loud and then go silent. For example, my fan will be going like bzzz. Then all of a sudden, it'll go bzzz, bzzz. And it happens over and over again until I fall asleep. I also get this weird tingly feeling all over my body. I don't know, it's weird. Only happens when I take naps during the day. So that was going on, and obviously I was having trouble falling back to sleep because of it, despite being extremely tired. It seriously takes me at least 30 minutes to fall asleep. I'm never one of those people that can fall asleep as soon as their head hits the pillow. I feel like it's important to mention that I get sleep paralysis often, mostly when I take naps or sleep in very late. I'm very used to how it goes. I never visually hallucinate, due to me being barely able to open my eyes. However, I do audibly hallucinate during it. When I was a kid, it would feel like someone would sit on my chest and try to choke me out. Eventually that stopped happening, when I stopped being afraid of it. But I still get those times when I wake up unable to move. So here's where shit gets weird. While I was trying to fall asleep, struggling, all of a sudden a stream of white light came from my window and I literally couldn't move. Like I got sleep paralysis instantly, and that never happens. I never get sleep paralysis before I fall asleep. I always wake up with it. I'm laying there freaking out like, what the actual heck is going on? Please don't probe me, oh god. And everything goes black. Yet I'm still conscious. It's like I have sleep paralysis and can't open my eyes. I felt like my entire body was vibrating like crazy. It was painful, like my soul was being sucked from my body. I tried so hard to move and scream, but couldn't do anything. Weirdly enough, usually when I get sleep paralysis, I can hear everything going on clearly in the room, but it was silent. I couldn't hear the YouTube video or my fan playing. I started to go in and out of dreaming, really weird lucid dreams. In all of them, I'd been panicking and trying to wake up because I knew I was dreaming and needed to get awake urgently. After a while, I would wake up, still unable to move for a few minutes, then fall back into the same loop. I could open my eyes a tiny bit at some points, and it looked like what could have been my ceiling, but with the brightness turned up extremely high. Almost like all I could see was a bright light. Eventually, when I was awake in sleep paralysis, I just stopped fighting and tried to calm down. It seriously lasted for hours, it at least really felt like it. When I got out of it, I was extremely out of it and tired. I had to literally fight not to fall back asleep. I went and picked up my phone and saw how long the video was playing. Only 13 minutes. What? I swear I was struggling to fall asleep for that long. There's no way that whole entire event took only 13 minutes. It's like I got abducted by some aliens that took me to another dimension where time doesn't exist, and then brought me back and time started where I left off again. That might be too crazy though. It was just so weird. Anyone have any ideas as to what happened? Edit. Forgot to mention that I don't currently do drugs or take any medication. 4. This just happened. As I'm sitting here at my desk typing away, suddenly my computer freezes. I try to move the mouse cursor and nothing happens. This happens fairly frequently as my company hasn't bothered to replace the computers here for a while, so I didn't think much of it. I looked down at the taskbar clock and it read 8:38 AM. I am considering getting up and going to the restroom while my computer does its thing. But as I stand up, my lava lamp on my desk catches my eye. One of the descending or ascending, who knows, blobs is suspended in the middle of the glass, completely frozen. It's at that moment that I realize it's completely silent all around me. My desk clock is no longer ticking, my light-activated desk toys aren't moving back and forth and making their normal noises. None of my co-workers are making a sound. Everything around me has stopped, so I am sitting there, just trying to process what is happening, and think to get up and go and see my co-worker on the other side of my cubicle to even see if they're at their desk. As I stand up, I hear my desk toys start clicking back and forth. I hear the tick-tock from the clock. The blobs and the lava lamp are moving again. I look at the time on my computer and it reads 8:39 a.m. I reach for the mouse and see that the cursor now moves. My co-workers were, as far as I could tell, all at their desks while time had froze. What in the hell just happened? Edit. I'm glad to hear from some of you that this has also happened to you, and today too. I have no clue what it was, but something definitely occurred. A little more detail about what happened to me. While I'm pretty sure my co-workers were at their desks while this happened, I don't know for sure because it all happened so quickly. Like I mentioned, as soon as I realized something was amiss and stood up to check on the person on the other side of my cubicle wall, everything popped back into motion. This wasn't a split-second thing either. It really had to have been close to 20 or 30 seconds. Time wasn't suspended for a long time, I know that much. But it was so surreal and felt like it was longer than what it really was. But anyway, what freaked me out the most was the lava lamp. Seeing the glob of whatever it is that's inside lava lamps suspended in the middle of the glass, not moving up or down, totally suspended in time, was so weird. That isn't how gravity works. The solar-powered desk toys frozen to the side as if they were suspended mid-swing. No longer making their usual click-click-click sound was also unnerving. Everything was just silent around me, just so weird, as it's never happened before. Honestly, I'm equal parts scared and intrigued. For those wondering, I'm in the EST time zone, and I live in Indiana. 5. So I have almost died 3 times in my life, and I speculate about it quite a lot. I'm unsure if I am meant to be alive for a greater purpose. I imagine what life would have been like if I had actually died during those certain points in my life. Anyway, here's the meat of the story. My first experience was when I was a toddler. I was babysat by a woman I still don't know the name of, but her house had a pool and a murky pond. I remember it very well, mostly because of the Buzz Lightyear toy I would take into the pool with me. I loved the heck out of that thing. Anyway, every time I arrived at that house, I would dash towards the pond. I don't know why, I was a dumb child. But my older sister would almost always stop me. There was a time where I actually made it in, but I couldn't swim. I don't particularly remember this, but I had to be saved by the babysitter's husband. I question the validity of how close I was to death in this story, but that's number 1. The second one is when I was 7 years old and living in the Pink Mansion, a haunted house in Spring City. And I was at home on the weekend watching TV. On the screen was a magic show where a man walked in a wardrobe and disappeared. I thought at the time, hey, I have a wardrobe too, I want to try this. Before I go any further, this house was already furnished by the time my family and I moved in, very old furnishings. So I turned off the TV, went to my room, and decided to try the disappearing act. I took one step into the wardrobe. I blacked out. And I came to with my family lifting the wardrobe off the edge of my bed with me beneath it. Putting the pieces together, I don't really remember this. I figure the front legs broke and it fell towards me. The top of it smacked the chandelier and the top half of the wardrobe caught the edge of my bed, miraculously making a small space for my body to fit under. It was nothing short of a miracle. But what I remember as I was walking in the room, various times before, the distance between the wardrobe and my bed was greater than the wardrobe's height. I don't know how or why, but it happened. The third and final story happened when I was an 11-year-old boy, starting to develop the attitude that I have now. I was always tired, so I liked to sleep when and where I could. Out next to the soccer field there was a row of small trees with perfect climbing height and climbing branches. I decided that I would want to sleep in a tree during recess. I climbed for a bit, and found the perfect set of branches to relax my body. Pretty soon the bell rang to go inside, and I began my descent. Unfortunately, I slipped on a branch or two, and I fell chest first on a root poking out of the ground. The spot that the root hit was in between 2 ribs, right where my heart would be. But the furthest the branch ever got was a millimeter or 2 through my skin. I limped to the front office, got a bandage, and tried to tough it out. because there was a cute girl I sat next to that I had a crush on. I've speculated whether I should already be dead or not. I've theorized many things, having yet no answers in my grasp. One of the theories is this. What of those instances we call miraculous survivals? We actually do die, but our mind is transferred to a parallel universe, so we can continue living our life. Maybe, probably not likely. The point is, I've been miraculously saved 3 times in my life. I don't know for what purpose, but I don't feel like I can take these extra chances for granted. I may in fact be borrowing time from someone else. I wouldn't know. Do you guys have any thoughts, questions, similar stories or experiences? Any possible answers? I'd love to hear from you guys. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to 5 True Glitch in the Matrix Stories, episode 102. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. So I was a little bored tonight, so I went browsing for random things on eBay and Amazon and the like I do when I'm bored. Generally I don't even buy things, but I'll look for stuff, and so I typed in Back to the Future hat. That just kind of randomly popped into my head. Then sure enough, they're on there, you can buy them, some look a bit better than others, but they're not actually that expensive. So my brain's been like, you don't need that, don't buy it, you don't need that, no. And there's a little bit of a voice saying, yeah, but you can hang it up somewhere and it'd be like decoration. But I would literally, I have no use for it, I would never wear it. And it's a bit more expensive. It's like when I bought the Jason Voorhees style hockey mask, the one with the red chevrons that was all kind of dirtied up to look distressed. That wasn't a big deal because I think that was £3 total, including delivery. But these are a bit more expensive, but not really that expensive. Still, they are very, very shiny. Well, okay, with that I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.